city known for its armory and factories, well known amongst tourists for its gingerbread and sweets and samovars. Hello everyone, that's the Weekender Girl, and today we are in Tula. If you are ready to explore with me, let's get started. It's very popular with tourists, both locals and foreigners. So, unlike in Kaluga, lots of people here, or even Smolensk. Yeah, city center with Lenin and with cathedrals and churches and guest court. The thing you might want to learn about Tula is that in fact it's not as old as other cities we've visited before. First time Tula was mentioned in the historical chronicles was in 1382. There might be a suggestion that city was actually built in 1146, but it was mentioned only in Nikon chronicles, and those chronicles date back to 16th century, so it's double. What I like most about Russian cities is this perfect mixture of ancient walls, buildings, churches, and something from the communists, like monuments, lots of them, and statues. What is a city center without a Kremlin? Yes. Cathedrals, churches, excursions, and some music. The complex is big, so of course there are some celebrations and lots of people and pupils actually. The Kremlin itself appeared only in the middle of the 16th century and was a part of the Great Abbot's Belt. Some of the remains you might see in the cities around Moscow. Yes, because basically they appeared when becoming part of the Great Duchy of Moscow, which was Russia at that time. Yes, it was primarily defense, to defend from Crimean Tartars, to defend from the outsiders, and to separate the main Russia from nomads. We should say that it achieved its goal, because if we miscount the siege of Tula in 1600s, yes, during the time of troubles, which was like half an inner struggle, half an attempt to invade Russia, we can say that never since then was Tula occupied or conquered by anyone. It's terrific. But that's not the major point of our discussion. While we are here in Kremlin, I'm gonna tell you something about your favorite time, which is the time of troubles, the Game of Thrones Russian style. The story I want to tell you about today, it is a story of Ivan Bolotny. He was, as we might call him today, a revolutionary from the lowest of the classes who rebelled against the discrimination and unfairness in society. But all in all, he was a servant, a manservant, and he ran away from his owner, from his lord. Yes, he ran away, tried to start a rebellion, didn't succeed, ran away to Europe, was found by the one of the organizers of the murder of last legitimate Tsar of Russia, the son of Ivan the Terrible. Fyodor the First, you remember? The one who initiated the construction of Kremlin wall in Smolensk. Yes, the one plotting his death was in Europe, and he found that Ivan Bolotny and decided to use him for his own nefarious purposes. And so it began. Ivan Bolotny pretended to just go along with those plans, whereas he actually planned a whole-scale rebellion against the acting government. He attracted a lot of attention from locals, particularly from the lowest classes, and it sounds like it comes from church, you know? For me, the sound. That's weird. And, all those people gathered under his power, and then they were here in Tula, suffered through a 4-month siege until the then acting leader of Moscow Duchy, Vasily Shuisky, told them that they're not going to murder anyone if they all just give it all up. And people were dying, people were famished and suffering, and Ivan Bolotny, as a people's leader, he couldn't allow that. He surrendered and was brought to Moscow, blinded and drowned. And that's how Tula participated in the time of troubles. And later Peter I came, and the story of Tula, the city of masters, the city of armament, factories, industries and weapons began. Well, in Tula there are many places of interest to visit. There are art galleries, exhibitions, lots of museums to armament and weaponry, or at least they are all parts of the same complex. Many beautiful churches, absolutely gorgeous, fantastic buildings and streets. I just love it. Yes, you might not believe me, tell me that. You say every time you come to any Russian city, but it is true, because Russia is so beautiful and lovely, and I just want to share my love for it with you guys, because even Russians don't know that much about their own country, and it is important for us to know our roots and to remember where we come from, even if someone is shouting and interrupting me the whole time. And that's the surrounding territory. Of course, lots of monuments and buildings in the memory of participants of the Second World War, the Great Patriotic War, and in remembrance of the war with Napoleon, because although Tula wasn't an active participant, still it was here where weapons were produced and armament and all this stuff, without which winning a war is impossible. Actually, speaking about stuff, did you notice that's how it was originally, the Kremlin? Half white, half red bricks. There isn't a Kremlin like that in any other city in Russia. That's the unique one. Every city in Russia has a monument to somehow connected to the Second World War, and this one is a monument to the city's defenders, because in 1941 Hitler and his army, to be particular, it was a Guderian army. Yes, they came too close for our comfort to the capital of our country and Tula was under fire. Yes, but we survived, as we always do. We suffer, we bleed, but we survive. And this monument is built in memory of those who bled for our patrimony at that time, to let us all live nowadays. This monument is called the Alphabet of Tula, and basically it is a picturesque alphabet, each letter meaning something for the citizens of Tula and for the history of this place. And while we're talking about words and letters, I actually thought that for those of you who go to Tula for a weekend, not just for one day but for the whole weekend, or are traveling by car or taking excursion, you should definitely visit a mansion of a man who was very good with his words and letters. I'm talking about Leo Tolstoy, and the fact that while he was in his mansion Yasnaya Polyana, which is located in Tula region, he wrote his War and Peace and Anna Karenina. So Tolstoy aficionados, fans and just book lovers, you should definitely go there and visit.